hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals that take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. The afternoon, we lay awake in bed. It laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Our hearts beat to the city.
was a little bit too fast. Just give me a sec. Is there anyone there anyway? I see 8 people. Is anybody there? I need to do a little tiny something for work. Shouldn't be too long. But, well, yeah, nobody's chatting yet. So if anyone is there, just bear with me 1 minute. Just got a call from work. I need to go create a new physician in the system. there, it will be Muscle. Dr. Muscle. Now I need to make sure of the name of the patient. Hey, Lewis, how's it going? I have a little tiny something to do. As soon as I was getting ready to start my live stream, I got a phone call. I need to create a new physician in our system. Mark, oh, okay, that's the way he is created in the system. It's going, that's great. Let me just minimize this here. Marcel Alexander. Add Marcel a new physician. Add it to the system, and I'm going to let them know that it's done. Done. Okay, minimize this. Minimize this. Just stop the camera for a sec. Anything going on that is extraordinary, Lewis? Are you up like on schedule with your plants and stuff, ceilings and all that stuff? I am behind. I need to share this here as well. Just a sec. I mean, people are not coming to my live stream anymore. But sorry, I want to go and share it at a few places. To really switch now. I am schedule with my plants. We're getting a nice storm right now. We had the power go out last night for a couple of hours. Hopefully, good morning, Dave. How's it going? You moved by that storm too, or I'm guessing not. It's probably way over your location. Can I share this? Not on my feed. Okay, let me switch back. I'm at the point in the morning where I need to drink my coffee to be able to finish my coffee. Don't know if that makes sense. I'm getting old and I just can't stay like late and stay up late anymore. You should see all the ice on the trees. Oh, that's never good for trees. Homesteading YouTubers. Let me just put that up there as well. Man, and my Facebook is slowing. I clicked. I'm still waiting for just a little window to open up so I can share the live stream. Just thunder shower. I have some plants and seeds outside. So for you, it was just rain, heavy rain, but still rain. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I am getting old, but the thing is, I had to go pick up my daughter at a party. Well, she said it wasn't a party; it was just a get together. She's only 14. There was no alcohol involved. It was over at one of her friends' place. The parents were there. They do that a little bit lately, where they all just hang out together. And we had to go pick them up at 11 o'clock, but they go to the same school. But let's just say that we live here, the school is there, and they live there. So it's way on the other side. It's about 30 minutes from here. So by the time I picked her up around 11, came back home, was close to 11:30. Obviously, you can't just go right off to bed. You have to get ready to go to bed, grab a little snack. I didn't sleep too well, and I'm tired this morning. I didn't do a live stream on Friday because let's see if I can show you one of the things that we did. Can I give you a little preview? Okay, maybe I can download this file and show you guys in a sec. Open file. And it's opening on the right side. Okay. Do not download it. Close this up. Let me share my screen. Present. Share screen. Entire screen. Screen 3. Man, it's huge lag there. And I'm not even on the Wi-Fi. I'm directly connected to Roger's internet. So this is what we did Friday. Just a 4-second clip. So you guys know what this is? I'm guessing both of you in the chat know what it is, right? Stop sharing. Being in Ontario, this is something you would be very familiar with. And what I'm going to show you guys in the upcoming weeks, everything is filmed. I don't want to wait too long until I show it, but I'll need time to do all the editing and stuff. But I had one of the elder guys, maple syrup. I had one of the elder guys tell me stories about the cabin, the shack itself. It was built in 1933, by my brother-in-law's great-great-grandfather. I think that's what it is. So basically, I think he's in the 70s, or he's in the late 60s. He's the youngest one in the family from his brother and sisters, and he's telling the story about how that shack happened, why they do maple syrup that way, and why it was important for them to keep the tradition going the way it is, because they didn't resort to new technology for maple syrup. They want to keep it authentic, and they want to have everything the way it was in the past. Like, I mean, they have to do some touch up here and there, fix the boiler and stuff, but they keep it as is. Let me just see if Scott is there. Scott was supposed to come on my... What? Okay. I want to send a message to Scott. It's asking me for my PIN to restore my chat history. I mean, this is my chat, not yours. Hey, John. How's it going? I spent most of my weekend doing pretty much the same thing you were doing the other day. I don't think we're using the same techniques. I guess you'll have to watch my next video to know if it's the same or not. But basically, it's they're boiling their maple sap with a big, huge wood stove covered in snow and ice. Yeah, so I'm guessing we're gonna get that the upcoming days. Let me check out the weather. Yeah. So we have a freezing rain warning. Can I have an idea of when it should arrive? Oh boy. So Tuesday, I suppose. Oh, well, even worse. So we'll have snow at 2 a.m., 1 a.m. So in about 15 hours, maybe. And we'll have freezing rain around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, which should last until about 2 p.m. And then we'll have rain. Rain until, well, by the looks of it, until 10 p.m. And then it should be gone. Is that what they're telling me here? I have climate warning. Quantity, total quantity freezing rain 5 to 10 millimeters, 4 to 8 hours. Oh, that sucks. So we're probably going to run out of power here as well, because, I mean, let's face it, I'm in New Brunswick. Whenever something happens, good morning, Amanda. How's it going? High Life Off Grid. It's been a while. Not as bad as some people. We got the snow mostly. Well, that's cool. And by the looks of it, looks like I'm gonna have pretty much snow as well. We're gonna have about 10 centimeters of snow during the night. Freezing rain a little bit, and then some more snow. Chances are there won't be school tomorrow, which sucks because when there's no school, there's no handball. And if there's no handball, it means that we are missing one practice. And there's only about 8 practices left until the provincials. So we need to have those practice. South got hit hard with the ice. So north of Dave, south of John. As long as we're not having a storm next Saturday, because we have a tournament and I want to. So it should be raining a little bit. Might have to leave Friday morning. My girlfriend and my girls are going to Moncton for the weekend. And there's going to be a little bit of snow Thursday and Friday, but not much. Hopefully they won't mind. And yeah, just inches of rain here in the Windsor area. Okay, I suppose that we'll get something starting here at some point tonight or late in the afternoon. I could do without, but I don't decide. People are still sleeping. What's up? What's up? Eventually my coffee's gonna kick in. So yeah, I've been doing maple syrup, filming mostly. By the time I got there Friday after work, they were already pretty much done gathering all the buckets of water. The way they do it is they still have those old buckets. They drive around with a snowmobile and a trailer and a big tank on a trailer. So they just dump everything inside. And then they drive by the cabin. They made like a snow bank. They go on top of the little snow bank, snow hill, and they use gravity to open the tap and have every water, all the water going in a big tank in the cabin. But the cabin is divided in two. So on one side, it's like the cabin itself, chairs, couches, table. If you want to go there, spend the night, it would be on one side. And on the other side, there's a door between the two sides. And on the second side is where they have this big stove, the boiler and all that stuff, all the stuff they need to make the maple syrup. So they drop everything in those big barrels. So the first time, I think they had about 8 or 9 big barrels of maple sap. And this weekend they had about 6. And then they drag that on the side of the boiler and they pour some in their big pans. And as it goes down, they add more water until all the water is evaporated and they get to about that much. They take the big pan, they move it to the smaller one, closer to the fire. And then they have those big metal cover to put on the rest of the stove. So they only have about, I'm going to say 4 by 4, 4 feet by 4 feet, or maybe 5, anywhere between 4 and 5 feet square of about that much, that high of maple sap. Well, almost maple syrup at that point, but not totally. Still needs to go down a little bit. And then when you get to the exact temperature they need, the exact density they need, they put snow on the wood stove to stop the heat. They take that pan, move it somewhere else, and then they open the valve and it drops into the big bottles that they need, just to make sure that it doesn't continue warming up, because obviously you don't want to burn your maple syrup. And then they pour that in bottles. The fall was too warm and the maples had buds. I did not tap my trees this year. Oh no, that sucks. Hopefully this time I'll be able to get some maple syrup. And I wanted to go. I don't have my my drone here. I wanted to use my drone to do some cool stuff, and I didn't know that it had the options that it had. I made a video on the drone about 2 years ago, and last year, I didn't use the drone at all until I realized that it has a follow me option. It has the possibility to go way, way, way up, and then you can just press a button and it goes down on its own. And since it's kind of hard to drive when you're not used to it, like I try to look at the camera and be okay, like this is forward, this is backwards, but it's never going like you want to go forward, but it's gonna go like this. You try to go backwards, and instead of going straight backwards, it's gonna go like this, and it's hard to judge. So there's a button you can press that drops the drone precisely where you started it off. And I was trying to do that yesterday, but for some reasons my batteries are either they didn't charge enough, or they're dead, and even charging them won't fix that. So I might have to look around for new batteries. Now I don't know if that company has any batteries. I'm guessing it does. I would probably need to go Lulin. They have their own website. Amazon store. They have accessories. Hello, I'll come back. Still need to do coffee. Yeah, I'll try to stay. So it's the Lulin Z6 Pro, and they have some batteries for about $50. I have 2 batteries, and I'm guessing that they're just dead. Now, I can probably go on Amazon. Do they sell the batteries on Amazon? Lulin drone battery. Oh yes, they have the battery here. So I'm gonna need to buy some of those, because I was trying to go up and get some views of the top of the shack, the maple shack. I'm gonna try to stay here, Marilyn, and it would go about 10 feet and then tell me battery's dead and just drop down. So I changed the battery, use the other one. I'm gonna have to go outside later on and try just to see if I can get it to go up higher than 10 feet. And if so, I'm gonna go there for a walk, try to get views of, like, aerial views of the shack. Now I know there's some restrictions there. with drones. My drone is legal. I don't need a license. But since they are somewhat close to an airport, I don't think I can do everything I want to do. But I just want to go about the same height as the trees. I won't go higher than that. Um, but that's cool that they have the batteries on their own, and they seem to be a little bit stronger as well. Maybe if I contact them, maybe I'll get one for free. Who knows? But I was able to interview um, the guy, the elder from the place, and he's been telling a few stories, a few funny stories, and hopefully, I don't think it's too bad for YouTube. In my opinion, it should be all right. Good news. Friday, something else I did Friday before I actually left to go help them out. I had my final exam for the second course I'm taking, um, because what it is, the college class, it is upgrading for my job, and it should give me a 20% raise once I'm done. So basically, I am currently doing, give or take, $28 an hour. With the contract that we just signed and that 20%, in about a year from now, if things go according to plan, I would make roughly $40 an hour. So you can't really uh, pass by that deal. So I have to do everything in my power to finish this class. And yeah, I'm not too worried about getting the best grades as long as I pass, because it doesn't matter. You don't get um, it's not going to show on my report. Oh, Remy did uh, the bare minimum to pass. It's a pass or fail kind of thing. um, the first course I did, um, it was a little bit, it was tough, but just not that bad. I did pretty well on the quizzes. I did pretty well on the projects and on the homework. That I just needed about 30% on the final exam to pass, which I did. I did over 50%. I ended up with about 80% in the course. The second one was a little bit harder because there wasn't really a lot of homework that you could get your points from. You wouldn't get points for attending class like the first one. Um, you you needed to do good on the quizzes. There was one midterm exam and one huge exam at the end. So those exam and quizzes were 75% of the grades, and there were 5 projects that were 5% each. It is pretty tough because it is a lot of studying, and I'm not good with studying. When I was in high school, math would be my easiest class. French and English would be some of my easiest as well, because you just apply logic to most of the stuff. You don't need to study. You just need to know your stuff, and that's it. When it comes to, I'm going back to work. I'm working federal election. Okay. Well, have a nice day and have a nice week. When it came to history classes or biology, those were classes that I needed to study a little bit more. And, I was struggling a little bit more, but I was still like a good student in good student in high school. Where I would have anywhere over 95% in French and math. I would have over 90 in English. I would probably still be around anywhere between 80 and 85 in history and geography and biology and all those classes. Um, but then university arrived, college arrived not too long after, and all those classes I needed to study were my hardest class. And the last one I did, pharmacology, is basically you have to know all the medication by generic name and brand name. And what I mean by generic, acetaminophen is the generic of Tylenol. Ibuprofen is a generic of Motrin or Advil. So you need to know all those names for all the medication basically that we use in Canada. When I was in college, the course was pretty basics. We needed to know those names, but we didn't need to know that deep on the medications themselves. Welcome back, Magdalene. But now that they want us to be certified, the pharmacology class goes a lot deeper. I mean, we see stuff that the pharmacists don't even see. Like, we can ask the questions. Most pharmacists will know, but some of them sometimes have to go and look on their they have to use their tools to get the information when we ask them questions. Plus, I bought a book thinking it was going to help me study, but I don't think I opened the book once. And there are mistakes in the book. So, I read one thing in the book, got the question on one of the quizzes, and I had the wrong answer. And I looked in the book again, and there it was. I wrote the right thing according to the book, but it was not the right answer. So you buy a book that they're recommending in the class, and the book is wrong. So imagine how tough it is. But now, not only did we need to know brand name and generic name for all those medications, but that was the easy part, because I've been working in the pharmacy for the last 15 years. So obviously, by now, I know those generic and brand names, trade names. But now I needed to know all different classes of medication, all, the medication for blood pressure, the medication for arrhythmia, medication for like antibiotics, antiviral, antifungic, antidepressant medication. And there's not just that you need to know what, like, that's also pretty easy, because I know that this and this and that are for pressure, and this and this and that are for infections and so on. But you needed to know the class of antibiotic. Sometimes if someone is allergic to penicillin, there's about 10, 15 different antibiotics that they might be allergic to. Why? Because they're in the same family. They work in a specific way. So I needed to know those 10. I needed to know that the other 10 were into another family. I needed to know how they were working. I needed to know how the body was working with those medications. And one of the things that I learned, and I got the explanation from ChatGPT, and I thought it was pretty cool. You have some medication that will work in a specific way. Some other medication will work on the same, I don't want to say same problem, but let's say same problem, but in a different way. And to give you an example of one of the things I learned, let's say you're driving a car. You want to slow down. You'll push the brake, right? So pushing the brake is the way that one of the medication is acting on the body. The medication is pushing the brake on your body. If your blood pressure is too big, you'll put the brakes on the blood pressure. But there's also another way to slow down. Let go of the gas. So another way to have a medication work on the body is simply to let go of the gas. Put your foot off the gas. I don't know if you're getting what I'm talking about. Not that it matters, but it's just showing you how deep and how hard that class was. And yeah, sometimes you might need to put the handbrake. That's when it gets really bad. I needed to do about 55% on the final exam to pass, which was not guaranteed because it is a pretty tough class. But that also means that I had done pretty well. I had about 50 points accumulated before the final exam. And I need 70 to pass. And it was a possibility of 35 points. I think I ended up the course with 74%. So I did over 55%. I didn't do too high, like I didn't do anywhere near 100%. But I passed. I passed the exam. And now the next 2 classes I need to take will be a lot easier. A lot easier. So I'm hoping that I can start the way that the last class started. Since it's easier, I'll be able to do a lot more right off the back. The last class, what the teacher did, instead of just waiting like, okay, week 1, I'll give you your first homework. Week 4, I'll give you the second homework. What she did was from week 1, all the homework were there. So all we had to do is do the homework whenever we felt like it. So I did them all at once. She did ask us to recommend that we wait before we did them all because she was going to teach us some of the stuff as we go. But I figured if I do my own, I hate the sound of what I'm about to say, but if I did my own research on a subject, if I went to take the tools that we have in the pharmacy, I would actually find the information, and it would probably stick here a lot better than someone just telling me what it is. And I guess it worked because I passed. Yeah, well, I'm done for the session. Next session starts in 2 days. So basically, it is 3 months per class, and that's it. We don't get a break. We don't. So I'm starting April 1st, and it goes until the end of June. And then early July, we're starting with the next class, July, August, September. Because we have to be done. I think we're going to be done around September 12th. And we have the possibility of writing the national exam the following week, which is something that I'm not really looking forward to. I might have to drive to Halifax. But we'll see. I mean, I don't mind the driving part. It's just that if I drive, I can't be studying while I drive. So we'll see what happens. And I mean, it's not like there's anyone I know that takes a class with me that could travel there with me, I have a video coming out next Wednesday. I know, Marilyn, you watched it. I needed to do something because I took like a 3 months break, basically. A live stream here and there. That class was really, really time consuming. Not just that, but when you're in a class from 7 to 11, you don't feel like doing anything the next day. But the next day, you have something else. The only day I really had off was the Friday. So sometimes I was in bed very early on Fridays. Sometimes I had other plans. Um, Kids playing sports, you don't want to go to bed too late. Um, but that's part of life. That's what it is to have kids. I mean, on Mondays, um, I go to work, I come back home, supper, then handball, and my girlfriend has to go with my daughter to town because she is in a dance class, and it's on Monday nights. I come home, it's shower time, get a snack, and get ready for bed. Um, Tuesday, I have my classes. Wednesday, I get out of work early, come home, get ready, I just have time to come home, change, because obviously you don't want to go in a nice shirt with fancy pants to a handball practice. You want to be able to move and play with the kids if you need to go and make a demonstration of something. If you want to show them something, you can't really be in a pair of jeans either, right? So I just come home, change, go to the handball practice, come back home around 6 p.m., eat supper. Then around 7, we have piano lessons. So we go for the piano lessons, come home. It's usually very late. So it's shower and bedtime. Then on Thursday, my daughter has volleyball practices. So depending on if I have homework, my girlfriend will drive her, but sometimes I'm the one who drives her. So I come home on Friday. It's nice to have a little break sometimes because Saturday is all about tournaments. If it's not my daughter playing volleyball, it's my son playing handball. And since I'm the coach, I don't really have a choice to be there. Well, I mean, I have a choice, but it wouldn't be fair for the kids if the coach wasn't there. And even if my daughter plays, I mean, I want to follow them. I want to be there. So if she plays and I can make it, if I'm not working, I'm going to be there. Good morning, Gathered Together Homestead. Glenn or Jess? I'm guessing that is Glenn this morning. I had to reboot my computer and I lost your playlist. I'm going to have to go get that going again. But as you can see, I have a laptop there and have another computer back there. So I'll be able to run your playlist on a few computers. So yeah, if one of my kids is playing sports, I'm going to be there. And then sometimes it goes until Sunday, depending on where it is. Like I had a tournament in Moncton, which is about 3 hours away from here. By the time we were done, we decided to spend the night there and just come back the next morning. Plus, it allowed me to spend some time with my son, which has been asking for a little while. So I got home on Sunday in the afternoon. It was get some rest because your week starts over again. That's just the way it is. But I don't mind. I don't feel as tired as I did when I was doing Shed Wars the first year. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I'm busier at work. I feel like I'm busier at home, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just knowing that it's temporary in sense that my class is only for a year. Hello? So is this Glenn or Jess? Knowing that in a year my class will be done, I will probably retire from coaching because my kids will be too old to play that sports. I don't know anything about volleyball unless they were looking for a soccer coach. Then I would have to come back from retirement. But in the winter, I could definitely take a little break. or even just go once a week, um, playing indoor. There might be some few tournaments here and there, but it's different. Back in the days, it used to be uh, all the schools would play soccer in the fall. There'd be like this English uh, league around, and we would always participate in that league. It's middle school soccer. We were playing against grade 6, 7, 8, but we were mostly grade 6 and 7 uh, because we're uh, in French schools. You're working towards going to the Acadian Games, and everyone was having their regionals in the spring. So um, from fall until spring, you could practice. You could have games against other teams, and you could see that the soccer around here was going up. It was getting more competitive. The teams were better. We had better players until they changed have soccer in the fall. Their point was that we'll have the regionals in the fall. If they win, they can play all winter long to practice before they get to the Acadian Games. Yeah, but they have nobody to play against because you removed all the other teams that lost. And one of their point was, since we're small areas, the players that lose in the fall, that don't make their team don't win, they can just go and play another sport. So instead of having a possibility of two different teams from one school going to the Acadian Games, that way you would have people that would probably never have a chance to go. They would be able to go. You're taking the team that lost, which are mostly the better athletes in school, and you're putting all those best athletes in another sport. So instead of having a pool of maybe 25 players playing those two sports, you'll have the same players playing. So you'll have only 15 players. So those other 10 kids don't have a chance to play at all. And their point that kids would have a chance to play all summer long and be ready for fall is bullcrap, because it wasn't even the same level. You would have players playing under 14 and players playing under 12 that would end up being on the same team. And the way that it was before, they could still play all summer long. I would coach a team from under 12, get them, into middle school league, and then play all winter long, having tournaments every second weekend. Arrived at the regionals, and my team was ready. I had time to show them stuff. I had time to show them all the required skills, all the game plan that I wanted to put in place. And we had time to play. We had time to play games. So by doing this the way that I was doing it before, I actually have a few banners from the middle school league that we won. Continued with the same team. We had multiple medals tournaments we won. We arrived at the regionals. We won. It wasn't even tight. Like when you win 6-0 in the finals, your team is at another level. We got to the Acadian Games, which is the best teams in the Maritimes. We finished with a silver medal. We went to the provincials, and we got the gold medal at the provincials. Since then, since they've been doing their stuff the way it is, I don't think we've ever finished top 4 at the Acadian Games. And I had a team from my community. Now they're making regional teams to compete at the same level, and they can't even have performance that we had in the past. So how can you say the game is better for the kids, it's better for everyone, when the level of play went down, when you don't I get it's not about winning, but that's a good way to measure the level of your players. If you start here and you keep going up, and when you get here, you start winning a few tournaments here and there. You win a few medals. It's not always about winning, but you're not going to win a medal if you're way down here. And when you play sports, you want to improve. And I've always told my kids, not my kids, well, I mean the kids I was coaching, it's very important to have fun. But what is the most fun you can have in a game? It's improving. You don't need to win. I mean, I've showed it last year with the handball team. We didn't win a single game. Well, we won a few games here and there. But we got crushed. You know, at the regionals, we lost like 35-3 in the finals. It wasn't even close. You know, we would win maybe one game per tournament, finish 3 out of 4 in our divisions. But we still had fun because we were improving. We started here and finished here. And this year, I have pretty much all the same players. And we started here, and now we're like here. When you go to tournaments, we have a chance to win. And that's what kids enjoy. If you play in a sport and you always lose and you don't improve, kids lose interest. They don't want to play anymore. You have to improve. And if you improve, they'll have more fun. They'll be more intense in practices. They'll be more, I'm looking for a word here. They'll, what's the word? They'll be more intense. They'll be hardworking a little bit more. They'll do everything in their power to go get that next step. And do more to get the next step and the next step and the next step. I mean, after that, whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter, but you know you give your best because you were at your best. If you play at 20% of your capacity because you were never shown differently, is that really having fun? I mean, at some point, way back then, the big town of Hamilton, they had a bunch of kids or teenagers doing the summer coaching. They would give them a ball. There you go. Have fun. Oh, we want the kids to have fun. But you know what? The kids are not having fun because they're not learning. They're getting crushed whenever they go play against other teams. When you pay to play a sport, you want them to learn. Yeah, well, that's kind of different, Marilyn. I totally get it. You wanted to dance and you didn't care for the competitions, but you wanted to improve. If you got to the dance class and the teacher would just show you, like, do this, you know, you still want to learn. You still want. Okay. You know, like, if the point is not about winning per se. I'm saying that winning is just a way to measure your level of improvement. But I totally get it. I mean, I played softball. It was never about competing when I played for fun here in Dundee. It was mostly about just going out with the boys and the friends, and there were girls too. But it was mostly about going there. But as a player myself, I wanted to improve. If you don't improve, I don't think you can really have fun. Even as a gardener, if I never improved, you think I would still be here talking to you guys today? I mean, I started planting carrots and my carrots failed. I failed every single garden I did, but I improved. I learned. I was shown some stuff. Now I enjoy it. But it's not fun if you never succeed at anything, you know? Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. But if you would have been able to improve, I don't know. I'm just saying that not improving would not make things better. I mean, my daughter is in the dance class. She doesn't do competitions. She enjoys it because, last time we picked her up, she was like, "Oh, we're almost done the first song, like the complete song. And then we'll be able to actually practice the song." And she gets recognition by a teacher saying how good she is and how fast she's improving, and she's enjoying it. Like it's one thing to dance, but if you don't get better, um, and I never got to go to the Acadian Games as a player because the year we were supposed to go, we ended up being upset in the semifinals, and we didn't go. We didn't win. That being said, talking about soccer, you don't give the kids a chance to improve, and you remove all those tournaments from the equation. They're not improving and they're not having fun by not playing tournaments. Imagine you want to keep your kids ready. In October, early October to mid October, who's the team that's going to the Acadian Games, and you're only going to the Acadian Games the following year in July, which is almost 9 to 10 months later. How do you keep your kids focused? How do you keep your kids entertained? Some kids will get bored, tired of playing. They might quit. What do you do if they quit? Because you can't replace a player that didn't play. You have to start your team with 16 players and hopefully finish by having at least 14. Now, most of them might say, well, I don't want to play this winter. I don't want to do anything. Weird. You could have a kid saying that he doesn't want to play in the winter. Well, I'm not going to play this winter. I have hockey and it's my priority. Nothing you can do about it. But the kid is registered for the Acadian Games. You have to bring him. In the Acadian Games, that's really more for fun. So you go there, bring a kid that didn't play at all year long. How is that better? At least when you have competitions, when you have tournaments, when you have other teams to play against, those kids have more interest because they know they'll be playing tournaments. I mean, we're arriving a stretch where we're going to have 4 tournaments of handball in 5 weeks or 6 weeks. One of the weekend we really have off. We took it off because it's Easter weekend, and another weekend we'll have it off because it is for the tier 2 provincials, and we're tier 1. And there's some that are already starting to be fed up in the practices. Like you can see in the kids the way that they're acting, that they're getting tired. They want to do something else. They want to have more competition. They want to be out there playing games. So if you start removing those games, you'll start losing players. And it's always the same thing, You change the way things are going, saying, "Oh, we don't have enough kids. We need to change that. Make it so that those kids can play more games." So if those kids lose the first tournament they play, then they have a chance to go to their second team and try for a second sport. On the long run, what does that do? Instead of having 40 kids per year trying out for sports and finding the one sport they like and actually have a chance to continue in that sport, you'll have the same 20 kids going in the other sport, and you're losing 20 kids that won't do sports. They won't be doing sports because, well, I was just barely not good enough to make the first team, and I was, again, just not good enough to make the second team. And I've seen it in the past. I remember this one year, we had to wait for the softball team to be done, for the cuts to be done, to go get the remaining players that were cut, which were obviously not necessarily the best athletes, as you can imagine, or they could have been the players that were, um, you know, having issues, were causing issues. I mean, the kids are not listening, and they're being bad in the way they're acting. The troublemakers, I should say. So you get either the ones that were not athletes or the one that were troublemakers, and then you have to complete your team with that. But you had a chance to develop those players. You had a chance to give them some, what's the word in English? In French, we call it encadrement. We have a chance to give them directions and show them, the right way of being on a team. Help with their the way they act. Support. Yeah, we could support those kids in a way that they would get better. In the way they were acting, they would be better persons. They would have a chance to be better at sports in general. And some of those kids, I still see them playing softball or playing sports around. Now you're taking that away from them. I've never agreed with the fall regionals because of that. I get that we don't have big populations, but I don't know, there has to be another way. There has to be another way. Just make people join, like school join together at least. If you don't have enough kids in one school, put the whole Restigouche together. Make one soccer team. Make one volleyball team. Make one handball team. At least that way, the people that are interested in doing sports will have a chance to do one sport instead of having the same players doing all the sports. Because last year, our soccer team won, which means we had a bunch of new players, kids that never played sports before, played handball. Yes, it was hard. It was hard as a coach to have a team where you have kids that don't care about sports. They're just put there because, hey, mommy wants me to do something. She wants me to move, which it's good for the kids. Don't get me wrong. It is good for the kids. But this year, our soccer team lost. So the handball team I have are all the kids that played soccer for the most part. Most of them. So not only would I have lost all my team if they had won soccer, but those kids from last year, there's no place for them now. What do you want them to play? They didn't really care about sports in the first place. And now they have to do a tryout. There's 25 players trying for a team where they keep 10. They don't even bother because, last year we were looking for players. Ask your friends. Tell them we need players. And yeah, they weren't the best athletes, but they improved in their own way. I mean, they started off here. Maybe they only got there instead of going there like it should have been, but it's still a step higher. They got to be on a team. They got to socialize. They got to move a little bit. I had one player last year that could not even jog going around the gym once. And that's, I don't know, maybe 100 meters. You can't jog for 100 meters. We had to jog for 12 minutes or we would fail the gym class. I mean, that kid's not going to do sports anymore? How is that good for him? Or her? I don't know. There's the fact that we're a small population is really causing a lot of issues, and I get that they're trying to do some different stuff, but we see the same thing happening. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but okay, let's just say that you're working with as a teacher, you're working as a teacher teaching kids, and they're like, okay, well, we don't have enough teachers for the grown-ups, and we're just barely enough for the kids. So how about we do classes where we mix them up together? Then you'll have the teachers from both groups being able to teach. So we'll have a good group, we'll have a good support group. But what do you think is going to happen? You do that to try to save resources, but the people that want to teach the grown-ups don't necessarily want to teach kids. And the people that want to teach kids don't necessarily want to teach the grown-ups. So let's say you have 3 teachers for the grown-up, 5 for the kids. You put them together, you're like, oh, well, I have 8 teachers now, and they can teach those groups all together, mix them up. In reality, what's going to happen, and we've seen it at a hospital as well, they tried to do that, and that's what I'm trying to explain, if you can read between the lines. The people that didn't want to teach the kids ended up quitting. They went to do another career. The people that did not want to teach the grown-ups ended up quitting, went for another career. So you ended up with 4 teachers left to teach the 2 classes, which is a lot too much for this group. What do you think is happening? They get medical paper, they change job because they didn't sign up for this. So you're like, well, we need to take that group of 4 teachers and get them to teach sports now and math and biology and put them all together. Well, the teacher that doesn't care about teaching math, you want to be a gym teacher, he's not going to do biology. He's going to change career. He's going to quit. He's going to do something else. The one that wanted to teach math doesn't care about sports. He's not going to want to teach sports. He's going to quit, change career. So you ended up having to blend people together twice, and you end up with the same amount of group of people. The same thing is happening with sports. Same thing is happening everywhere. The fact that you have a small population and you're trying to squeeze everyone together is simply making people go away. It's one thing. Another example I can give you. Right now at work, and it's not a complaint. I'm not bashing anyone or bashing anything, but it's just the reality of it. Because we would need about 10 more technicians and about 10 more pharmacists, give or take, to be able to work properly and follow all the national standards. Well, I have to do 2 jobs at once most of the days. It's okay if it happens once or twice a year. Yeah, it happens, So someone can take their vacation. I don't mind doing it. Someone lost a family member, they need some time off. Yeah, I'll do it. But when it's 3 to 4 times a week, there's something somewhere it's not going to get done. I'm not going to be able to do all my work without doing overtime. It's just not possible. I cannot do 10 things at once. I'm just a human being. So what happens is someone like me has to do overtime. Someone like me has to burn out. Just a sec. There's something going on in the chat. Okay. So it's not too much drama. Basically, we have gym time on Wednesdays, and there's a jamboree happening on 2 of our gym times, which is in May. I mean, we're going to have to figure something out. Um, they're taking our gym time. Okay, we might have to switch gym. We'll have to find some more gym time. Yeah, and it's not about complaining. It's just remarks or things that are going on that it's the reality. I remember back in the days, we were 3 classes of 25 students from grade 6, 7, 8. There were 66 to 70 students in the same age group for my one little school, Balmoral and Dundee alone. Now they have 1 or 2 classes of 15 to 20 between the whole area. There's a lot less people than there used to be. What am I doing today after the chat? Well, I actually need to start planting seeds. I need to look at what I have. We'll also need to start cleaning this up here a little bit. I need to film another video. I need to do some more editing. Again, what? To check for my seeds. I didn't plant any seeds. I didn't plant seeds yet, and I didn't have time to finish cleaning this up. I have right here, I put my fishing stuff. I don't think you can see. Well, you can see a little rod here, a little reel. But yeah, I need to start planting seeds for a month, and whenever I'm done my live stream, there's always something happening that yeah. Okay. Trying to set up a few things at the same time. This being said, I need to play in the plans too today. Well, that's cool. I think I'm gonna go for a little walk outside. Since we're expecting a freezing rain, I think I'm gonna look at my apple tree and see if I don't have like any fragile branches. Might be able to cut some even on my grapevines just to make sure that nothing breaks. Seeds are frozen solid. I made a tunnel in the greenhouse yesterday. I saved about 1 to 2 degrees in it, but it was still -10 last night. Yeah, depending on what you planted, it might still be okay. This should be okay. Even the tomato seeds, you always have some tomatoes are reseeding themselves on their own. You know what? I think that's what I'm gonna do now. And we'll have 6 people watching. Need to have water on the side in case of power cut. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Just go get ready in case something happens. Make sure we have candles. Make sure I have my little propane stove ready in case. Not for inside the house, obviously. Well, it'd be safe. I mean, obviously, people have a propane stove in their house. I could have just a tiny little propane stove to cook something if we need to. I have that in my backpack here. Just make sure everything is still in order before we get the storm, and have a few candles here and there. My lighter is probably it's good. So I'm gonna go get that ready, and yeah, I'll try not to leave the outro video for too long this time, Marilyn, like I did last time. All right, thank you everyone. Listening in before we leave. Happy Sunday, VC, family, Homestead, the Vineyard Chicks, and Tiffany. I was just saying goodbye. I should be home. Well, no, actually, the last few Sundays I missed your live streams. I don't know if it's Trey or KK, but I'm sorry about that. I didn't do any follow-ups on my survival seeds yet because it's just about time to plant them now. I think I'm late on my onions, but I'm going to do them anyway. Maybe just keep a few ones indoors. We'll see. It's Trey. Okay. Yeah, life. Last weekend I went to see my in-laws. They were here. First time we saw them in about a year. They work out in Alberta, and they have to come here about a week or two in the spring for maple syrup season. So that's what I've been doing in the last couple of days. And if it's not that, it's tournaments. So, all right, take care, everyone. Have a nice week, and I'll please pop in.